makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravin. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. In this episode, we are going to have a conversation with Alyse Malsonik. She is the founder of RedefinED Advisors LLC. As a kid, Alyse had gone through many different ups and downs, including domestic violence, poverty, and abuse. Now, she has a company that helps students by providing them with financial assistance and scholarships. Ready to learn how Alyse turned her life around and become a successful business owner? I know I am. Let's go ask her. Good morning, Alyse, or good afternoon. I don't know where you are right now.
Yes.
And it's a pleasure to have you here with us today. And I'm so excited to hear your story because I know you have a tough life as a child. And, you said that, reading about you said that life was hard for you as a child. And can you tell us something about your journey from childhood, setting out, you just get up and just leave, and with $63, I don't know anyone in this country that can survive with $63. And then after that, you end up starting working for a big company, actually. So how was that journey for you?
Yeah, sure. So my journey's been a wonderful mix of peaks and valleys, but my childhood started off pretty rough. There was a lot of, I had a mom, and she had 4 children of her own, and then I had a stepfather that also had 2 children. So there were 6 children in the home, and they didn't make much money at all. And my stepfather was not the best man, pretty abusive. So we just had a really tough life trying to navigate everything with the strain of finances, living, within the poverty guidelines, and also dealing with how to navigate the situation of abuse. I did not grow up knowing much of my biological family. So I never met my dad and didn't know that side of the family. And then also my mother's dad, which would be my grandfather, I did not know him either. And as we were going through prosecuting my stepdad, and going through that whole criminal justice system for him to face the consequences of what he had done to all of my siblings and my mother. In the meantime, I was contacted by my biological grandfather at 20 years old. And at the time, I was so broken, going through that justice system and just really feeling re-victimized through that process. And I needed someone to help me because I was broken, Nagelia, just desperate for a change, to a hand up, to get out of the circumstances of which I was born into. And I was reached out to by my biological grandfather on Facebook, and it turns out he lived in North Carolina, and I was from Pennsylvania, and he said, "I know you don't know me." And I always heard of him. He left my grandmother with 5 kids. They were dirt poor. And I heard the backstory, but I never really heard from him. So turns out he did go on and make something of himself. Turns out it's easier to do that when you don't have other responsibilities. But he offered me, he said, "I know you don't know me, but I hear your story. And I won't give you a dime, but I'll give you a place to stay, and I'll teach you what I know." And so on March 1st of 2011, I testified against my stepfather in that criminal trial, and the next day I decided I need to get out of here. I need to remove myself from these surroundings that are painful, that just reminds me that it's a struggle to move forward. So I packed up everything I owned, and I had a 1996 Chevy Corsica. And Nagalia, the gas cap was actually rusted out. It didn't even have a gas cap. So it was not a car that could really make the drive. But I was so determined to go. And I had $63 and a dream that I was going to stop the generational trauma and poverty that I was born into, and I was going to change the trajectory of my family's life going forward. And this was not the existence that God wanted for me. So I was ready to chase it. And he did give me a dime, my grandfather, because I didn't have enough gas money to get down there. So I actually ran out of gas getting off the exit. And he did fill my gas tank up. He put it on a pay you back, and I did. I had to pay him back. But I ended up waitressing down in North Carolina, enrolled in real estate school, just found a love of selling the American dream, right? Giving people their ability to have a piece of that American dream that I never thought was possible even for myself. So it felt really good to give that to other people. And I just excelled at it, and I think it was because I was so passionate about what I was doing. So it kind of turned into property management I managed a property at the age of 22 for JP Morgan. It was a property in Charlotte, North Carolina. With that success, it led me to NVR Inc. or Ryan Homes, selling homes and developments within the Charlotte region. I was one of the youngest, if not probably the youngest at the time in that state for sales and marketing. But I used my life as a way to understand what people were looking for, right? And so I look back in my life and I see, wow, I used these struggles so that I could help people in the way that I wish someone would have done for me, you know? And so that's kind of what led me to getting into the corporate world and really turning my life around and seeing that I had no other option. When I say that it was either make it or I wasn't going to. It was my one shot that I had, and thankfully I recognized that. And if I didn't jump and drive down and take that risk, I don't know where my life would be today.
I have to say, it's a big risk, because especially from being in an abused home, and then someone you never actually met before. You heard bad stories, because usually that's all our family said. They just tell all the bad stories, not the good ones. And you heard all the bad stories, and that person just reached out and said, "Hey, I'll help you. I'm not giving you money, but come here, stay, and I'll teach you what you need to survive in this world." So at this point, it's kind of like well, I have this and I have that. This is not good, but I have a chance. I'm not sure if it's gonna be good either. But you know what? It's a big chance that you took. You didn't know if it was gonna work out or not, but you took it, and look where you are right now. If you didn't take that chance, maybe you wouldn't be where you are right now. So what inspired you to, because you are working for NVR Inc., and then you start your own company. What inspired you to start on your own?
Sure. So long story short, I ended up marrying my first boyfriend that I had when I was 15. And so I moved back to Pennsylvania and left NVR. And I got into banking and was doing a lot of business banking and some corporate roles. And I started having children. I have 3 wonderful kids. And I was working for this man. Funny story, but I was working for this man, and I was raising funds through his company. And I just had so many people that I worked with that kept saying, "Alyse, you should really think about doing this on your own." And I had clients that would say, Alyse, if you ever go out on your own, you'll call me, right? And so I started really thinking like, man, I'm running this guy's company. I'm running this company. And, I've been in situations where, I don't want to, blast men, but I've been in situations where I work so hard and these ideas that are just future changing for companies that I've worked with. They were my ideas, but then people were taking credit for them, right? And after a while, you start saying, no, that's not okay. So I really thought about it, and I thought to myself, I'm in this for the right reasons. I'm raising funds for kids that were like me. I received a needs-based scholarship to attend a school whenever I was a child. And so I was so passionate of my work, and I knew that if I jumped, I had made a name for myself within my client base and that community, that I had the potential to be really successful, and with that success, do much more good than what was happening. And I could create a larger impact for more students like I was. And that's ultimately what made me jump and try it. And it led to great success. And it's been wonderful to be able to give back in the way that I always imagined that I would.
And one thing also, you don't forget, it's your idea, so they can't steal it anymore.
Yeah, and that's so true. I mean, it means something to me. I find myself working even harder now because I get to make the rules. I'm the one that, with all of these ideas, I don't have someone saying, well, this is the status quo. This is how we've always done it. Don't challenge that. Even though I could be right and be so steadfast in understanding how strategically it would play out and be beneficial to the company, I couldn't get that across because it's corporate. And sometimes what people find in corporate America is things are designed to be inequitable and unfair, and they like it that way. And so I was really determined to make sure I created a company where those didn't exist. Those systems of inequity did not exist.
And the best way to do that is to create your own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you tell us about your company?
Sure, yeah. So I own and founded RedefinED Advisors LLC. It is a strategic partnership with schools. We do development, so we raise financial aid and scholarships for their students so that they can attend that school. And through that, we grow their enrollment and their reach within the community. And we help with marketing as well. So we look at their overall finances, how they structure tuition, and just really help them get more students into their school and be successful for their financial longevity.
This is awesome. I never heard of something
It's
like
really
that.
cool.
Yes.
I think I'm one of the only ones that offer all three of these services, and that's one of a main reason why I jumped, is because I kept telling the guy that I worked for, hey, this is my, and I don't know why I did this, Nigelia, but I kept saying, this is my idea. Think of how cool this would be if we would be a one-stop shop for schools where they didn't have to outsource all these different services. We could just be one. And when I realized he wasn't going to invest the money to do that, that was the ultimate decision for me to leave.
I think God just saved you because you're able to take that idea on your own, because if he actually said, oh yeah, let's do it, you couldn't do it anymore because now you have a competition. So it's kind of now you are the number one doing this. And I never heard of someone doing all these three things. But a question I have for you, how do you get this scholarship for the students?
So we do several different things, but our main thing is in certain states, the government provides tax credits for individuals and businesses so when they make a contribution to an accredited school or scholarship organization, they receive a certain percentage back on their tax liability. And so in Pennsylvania, that's called the Educational Improvement Tax Credit Program. And so individuals and businesses can, instead of basically paying their whole tax bill at the end of the year, they can make a contribution that turns into scholarships and financial aid for local students.
Is that so?
Yes, it's a very complicated process, but we know my team is just the leading experts in walking people through that process, and we make it as simple as possible. We do the legwork for them, and yeah, their dollars that they were going to have to spend in taxes, they get to invest them right into the community that they do business in or live in.
This is amazing. I don't think people know. I don't think, especially small business owners, I don't think they know that's something that they can do.
I know. And so that's one of the things that we work on is really spreading the word, because a lot of businesses do not know that this is an option. It really, several years ago, most of the participants were really big businesses, right? And so the little guys and the individuals didn't have a chance to participate. And through some really cool scholarship organizations, the Central Pennsylvania Scholarship Fund, Blocks, and the Children's Tuition Fund, all three of them, there's now a way for individuals and smaller businesses to participate.
I love that. I love it. Actually, it's pretty cool. Instead of giving your money to the IRS, you're helping the children, that's who we should be helping, the next generation. I love it. Thank you for doing that.
Yes, you're welcome. Yep.
Can you tell us how you partner with non-public and then private school to help the students? How did the partnership work?
Sure. So schools hire us. They pay us a flat fee for our services, a retainer every month for our group to raise money for them and help them with their funding, help them structure their tuition correctly, help them grow enrollment. So they just pay us a flat fee per month, and that's kind of how it works. So we reach out to schools all the time that we know really struggle with funding, but they do a lot of good work, right? I want to work with schools that do good, and I want to help them continue that for years and years to come. So yeah, that's how it works.
So pretty much they don't, I like when you say flat fee, because you're not taking anything from what they're receiving. You're just charging them a flat fee that whatever they receive is theirs to help the school grow.
Yes, and I had an option. I've seen different models where in fundraising, there's some companies that keep 20%. That's hefty. And yes, I could charge that. I absolutely could charge it, and I know our services are worth every penny of that. However, my goal in life is to ensure that the people doing good work get to continue that work. And feeing someone into the ground and charging them these massive fees and commissions can really hinder their ability to continue their good work.
You are right. You are absolutely right. I have many conversations with a lot of women, and you are one of a kind to say this, because some people, they just think more about what's going in my pocket, not what's going to outside of someone else. And for you to actually think of the school first before you think of your business or yourself, it's a huge difference that you are making. Did you face any obstacle or setbacks when starting your business?
I feel like every woman and every business owner, right, has had to face some setbacks. There were tears involved, Nagalia. There were tears, moments of just despair, thinking it's not going to work. I took this chance, and what am I going to do? And I signed my first big contract with an entire diocese in our state. And it was my first one. And I remember telling the other two people that I really wanted to hire, okay, I'm going to hire you now. I didn't have the check yet. Okay, I didn't have the check, but I was like, I mean, the due date is on the 15th, so you guys go ahead and start on the 20th. Well, that check did not come. It didn't come until really late, and I was sweating bullets. What am I going to do? How am I going to make payroll? I hired these people, but it all worked out. It did all work out, and I'm thankful that I did hire them when I did. But I think the biggest setback or the obstacle is always ourselves, right?
Yes.
Like in the way that we think, in the way that we doubt ourselves, our inner voice for some reason can become negative in trying times. And that's exactly the time when it should be positive and when you need positivity. So I think that's my biggest obstacle is sometimes I have that kind of imposter syndrome, right? Where it's like, Alyse, you're just a nobody. You're just a nobody. Like this inner voice sometimes, it just tells me you're nothing. And I think that's just kind of going back to my childhood of, but I do a good job now of being surrounded by people that just support me and will tell me the opposite of what that voice will tell me.
I agree with you. Even myself, since I was a kid, I used to tell people that I am my best friend and my worst enemy. And I think me saying it to people, usually they don't understand what I meant. I think you just explain it to them. It's the fact that you yourself can actually pull yourself down and then get nowhere in life because you are the one stopping yourself. No one else doing it for you. You are the one in the mirror telling yourself, I can't do this. I'm no good. I'm nobody. Nobody care about me. And you are putting yourself down. So you become your worst enemy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you are absolutely right about that. And how do you overcome these obstacles?
It's interesting that you say that. I do a few different things. So first and foremost, I think of my mom. And if you would have asked me that, a few years ago, it wouldn't have not been that answer. But I was so angry with her about how my life was, right? And just the trauma that we went through. And I didn't have enough space in my angry heart to give her grace at the time. And now I look back and I think, wow, she got through it. Although, her children were being abused, so was she. And she did that with 4 kids. 4 kids. So how in the world did that happen? So what motivates me and what gets me through those trying times is thinking, if she can do it, I can too. I can. I mean, how did she do that with 4 kids on a minimum wage job? And she went on and she's so successful now. In her 40s, she went back to school, graduated magna cum laude. I mean, she is just such an inspiration. And I didn't see that for a long time because I was just angry at some of the decisions of my that she had as a mom and what she did. But now looking and reflecting in grace, I can see that everyone as a mom makes mistakes. And when you have 3 kids now, like I do, you realize you make mistakes every day.
Absolutely. And I can relate to that as well. Even I remember when I gave birth to my son, I called my mom after that and I start crying and say, I apologize for everything I put you through in life. Because I didn't realize how hard it is to actually just giving birth to a child. It's a lot of work. So I guess what your mom was going through a lot, but at the time you couldn't see it because you also was going through a lot. So it was hard for you to see it. And I think it was the same with me as a teenager. I work a lot with my mom because my mom is a business-minded person. So I used to spend all of my time with my mom. Normally, I had no teenage life. Because it's school, mom, business, and bed. That was me.
Yes.
So it was all about business around me. And one time I realized that, wait, I have no life. I have no friend. I have nothing. And I wanted to be mad at her for that. But one thing I realized after I grew woman is the fact that without her, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing today. So she created that foundation for me so that I can build something off that foundation. And the things that she went through just to taught me these things was a lot, because I was a hard kid that do not like to listen sometimes. And for her to have that patience to taught me, to allow me to use that skills, it's a lot. And the only thing I can say is thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was stupid, I guess.
Yeah, I think the same way. And now as I grew my business and just reflect on like how that happens, I realize I have a very strategic mind, right? I can see things from a bird's eye view that not people can do that, but it's not all of people can really look at it in a strategic and play those decisions out long term and see what's going to happen right down the road. But I realize that comes from my mom, because she had to be strategic. She had one shot too. So my brain really mirrored how she went through life of having to be strategic. And that has been fundamentally the number one reason I think that I have had success, is because I can think strategically, because I look at things as this is my one shot. So we got to get it right.
Exactly. But also one thing that is good with that, the way you are, I bet you raise your children a whole way different ways to make sure the same thing do not happen again.
I do. Yeah, it's interesting. I always say my mom inspired me in so many different ways, in the best of things, but also she really taught me things that I don't want to do. And that's not a bad thing, but there are certain things where I really try. I will never be financially dependent on a man. I love my husband with all that I have, and he is my best friend. I've known him since I was 15 years old. I mean, he's my first love. But I don't ever want to be financially dependent on a man, because in times of crisis, you make the wrong decision.
I totally agree with that. And I think every single woman should be the same way. Don't get me wrong, it's okay to have that partner. But at the end, if that partner, anything happen in this world, you can always keep on moving on your own. Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that. Do you think that luck play a role in the success of your company?
That is such a good question. I learned very early on in my life that I couldn't rely on luck to get me through. So I have this saying that I don't believe in luck, I believe in hard work. I learned that life is not fair, no matter how hard you really want it to be. Some people don't have to work that hard and they're successful, right? Because of the family that they're born into.
Yes.
Those weren't the cards that I was dealt. And I knew the only way to overcome that was to work relentlessly to make it happen. So yes, there are opportunities that came to me that I recognized, and I took full advantage and jumped into that fear of the unknown. But I don't necessarily believe in luck. It's a lot of hard work. People that see lucky people, oftentimes there's hard work and sweat and tears behind all that luck that they see.
I totally agree with you on that. It's like I remember one woman saying that it was easy for you to start because you already have the background. And I'm like, it wasn't. It's a lot of me laying in the bed crying because I can't get my first client. It's a lot of me trying to figure it out how to work this because the money is not enough and more money needs to flow. It's a lot of me not sleeping at night, preparing for tomorrow. So
absolutely,
it's a lot of that. And I remember I started Womel when I gave birth in 2014, and I launched Womel in 2016. So my son kind of grew with Womel. So I will be with the laptop in the bed, and he's next to me with the iPad, and then me working. So people will be like, "Why is your son always up late?" Well, because I'm always up late.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things that you don't realize, I guess, at first, how good of a multitasker you have to be. I mean, currently right now, just to tell you the truth, my laptop is sitting on a high chair. And that's just how you have to roll sometimes with it, right? You have to as a mom. And I think that's what's the coolest thing about moms and working moms. And you just make it work, right? You just make it work.
You have no choice. And because if you want a better future for your children, because that's how I see it. The way my mom raised me, I don't want to don't get me wrong, she didn't raise me the worst way in the world, but I want to give better to my kids so that my kid can go do better for the kids. And then we can change that, like you said at the beginning, you wanted to change the way it is in your family so that domestic violence is not a part of it anymore. You get to remove that from it so your kids don't have to suffer from it. That's how I see it in my life. My mom raised me that way. The things that I didn't feel like it was good for me, don't get me wrong, I learned from them, but if I can change them to make them better for my kid, I do that, and then my kid can make it better for their kids.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's all about just pushing. I think when you come from like a generational poverty and that's kind of what your family has always known, when you finally break free, you realize, yes, that, poverty may have been in my blood, but you know what else is? Resiliency, tenacity. Those are in my blood. And you use those to just continue to push better. So my generation will be better. And I pray that I will instill in my kids other things to make it better, even better after that. So yeah, it's going to take a while. We came from the bottom, but we're moving to the top. Well, and it's nice to see.
Yes. So pretty much you are already making progress through that. Be able to quit that job, start on your own, rely on a check to come to pay this up to people that just started working for you. You got it late. I'm pretty sure you were pretty much freaking out everywhere. Like, I don't know. They need to get paid. And raise 3 children while doing that, it's a lot of work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We do the cooking, we do the cleaning, take them to school, bring them home. All these things, we still do them as a mother, but at the same time, we have a business.
And I think what just motivates me, to be honest, is to keep up with it is I think of there are so many kids that are in the position that I was. So many that are kind of, there's no light shed on them, right? So they're in they're out there, but you may not even know or recognize that they're struggling. And so my company, I know that when I get up in the morning, every day, I'm making a difference. And if I don't do my work, there may be a child that falls through the cracks and doesn't get that hand up that could ultimately change their life. So I think that, yes, it's so busy and I feel like life pulls you in so many different ways as a mom and a business owner, but my work is also important for the legacy and for the change that I want to create in the world.
And I think you are already doing an amazing work doing it with 3 children.
Thank you.
If you had to start over, what would you do differently?
I would have done it sooner. I would have done it sooner. Yes. It's wild. For so many years, right? So especially in the last year before I officially made the jump, I just kept having this feeling like deep within, Alyse, do it. Do it. Take a chance on yourself. Bet. If you're going to bet on anything, and I'm not a gambling woman at all. I think it's a waste of money and I'm very frugal. So, but if you're going to bet on someone, bet on yourself. And every day that I would ignore it, it just kept getting more uncomfortable in my skin, right? Like I felt like I had to do it. And so I wish I would have listened to that voice a little earlier and just had done it. And again, I would have been kinder to my mom if I had to do it all over again. Instead of realizing once I have 3 kids and raising a business, raising a business is kind of like that. But I wish I would have recognized that earlier than my 30s to be kinder to her.
Yes, you could have, but you did it at the right time. I think everything happened when it's supposed to happen. Can you talk about one woman who impacted your life?
Yeah, so obviously now looking back, obviously my mom, she always used to say, she had this way about her. This woman does not quit. She does not know how to give up, and it's a wonderful thing. But she used to really instill with us, tough situations don't last. Tough people do. And so she just really made a change in me. And I look back, and also my grandmother, she has since passed, and she was just such a light in my life. And she was one that when I felt unworthy, she thought the world of me. She thought the world of me. I was the silhouette of perfection in her eyes. And when I said this at her funeral, I said, when my life felt like war, she was my ceasefire. She truly was
She passed away.
my ceasefire. Yeah, she passed away, but she changed. She was always that safe place for me. And when I felt like I had made a mistake or I was doing things wrong, she would tell me. She was honest with me, and but she loved me through it, and she gave me tough love. She was a great woman. She was a great woman, and she was very much like my mom. And in the beginning of her life and motherhood, of just struggle. Again, my biological grandfather left her with 5 kids, and she knew struggle, but she made it. She made it somehow. So I come from a long line of women that make it.
A long life of woman that is strong to keep on fighting no
Yes,
matter what.
yes,
I
yes.
love it. Um, what's your advice for female founders who are starting out?
Yeah, my I guess my advice is buckle up because it's wild, and you will learn so many things about yourself. But I think the most important thing is to surround yourself with a good support system. I always say I am a strategic mind. I am not a detail-oriented person per se. Like, I don't remember to put a schedule on my calendar, right? Like, I don't get lost in those details. Probably should learn how to do that. But I have an amazing team. I would say to any young girl or female out there that wants to start a business, surround yourself with people that have skills that you don't, that will be honest with you, because you need honesty. And most importantly, surround yourself with people that will clap for you when you succeed for the right reasons.
I agree with that one. You got these two. You're gonna need them because, especially if you come from a family that do not support you, you are going to need cheerleaders outside of your family. And you are, like you said, you are going to need a team that is actually you can trust, you can rely on when it's come to the right. And then one thing also, that finding the right people might not be as easy as you think. But I guess not, don't give up looking for them, because I know it's hard. For me, I know it was hard to find a circle of people that I can say, hey, I can rely on you, I can trust you. It takes me a few years to build that.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I think that is such a huge part of the success of your business is who you're starting out with, right? And if it takes a little longer to find the right one, wait a little longer, because the wrong one could really put you in jeopardy of what you're trying to build.
And isn't it funny how the wrong one always come first? Somehow, somewhere, they always come first.
Right? It always does. It's so interesting. I got so blessed with my team. I had worked with both of them previously, and they just really believed in me, and they were part of the people that were saying, Alyse, like, if you ever go on your own. So I was very fortunate. I have the most incredible team, and But yeah, there's some bad ones out there, and you just have to make sure that they truly are supporting you because they see your mission and they're there because they believe in that mission.
You are right. And you can tell too when they are the wrong one. You can feel it. You will feel it. And if your heart is telling you, don't go there, follow it, because that might be the right thing to do. What is your message to young girls today?
Yeah, so I always think as young women, we are almost conditioned that there is a time and a place for us to speak, right? We're conditioned that don't be too assertive, don't be too outspoken, don't do this, don't do that. You might come off as rude or, the wrong word, but I would say to young women, your time and place is here and now to speak up. That is your time to speak up. And you deserve to be at every single table where decisions are being made. And being a woman gives you the ability sometimes to look at life differently than some of these decision makers in corporate America. And what the value that you can bring to those conversations is extraordinary. So speak up, believe in yourself, because don't we just beat ourselves up sometimes and that self-doubt. So yeah, your time and place to speak is here and now.
Absolutely. And a lot of women fight and die to make sure that we have that chance. So take it and run with it. You are right. And what are your goals for the future of the company?
So I think my biggest goal, it has nothing to do with the amount of money that I bring in or any of that. My ultimate goal and where I think my work would be complete is every child had the opportunity for an educational choice to pick the best school for them where they were going to succeed. But what I look forward to most and what I will measure my success on is I have created the Triumph Over Tragedy Scholarship Award, which gives additional funding to students like myself that were able to triumph over tragedy and that have remained resilient in the face of adversity. And I just want to be able to give that to as many kids as I possibly can. I really do. It makes my heart just feel so much joy, and it's better than any paycheck that could ever come my way. So that is how I will measure success. But I do look to, I have a potential national partnership upcoming that I look forward to exploring, and we'll see where it goes. But for right now, it's going well, and I'm just trying to make as big of an impact as I can and make sure that my story is worth something. And that I've turned it into something that's impactful for other kids and other women.
I think you are already making that change, because every time a kid gets a scholarship, it's because you created something no one else thought of. So you're already doing it. And it's amazing to actually meet women like yourself that went through all of that in life as a child, pack everything, leave everything that you know behind, and then say, I'm going to start a life for the better of not just for myself, but also for other kids out there, for my children, and perhaps for your siblings. So it's amazing. A lot of people don't think that way. Usually when they think about themselves. So you didn't put yourself first, you put others first. And for that, I said thank you for all the work that you do.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you having me here and being able to tell my story. And hopefully women out there will see that, yes, it's hard, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. And you can do it.
Absolutely. If she can do it, you can too. And I know each situation is different. Don't get me wrong. Every single one of us is going through something completely different. But there is light under the tunnel, like everyone always said. There is light there. So if you keep on going and believe in yourself, love yourself, and then whatever situation you are in, try your best to get out of it. And then the worst that can happen, reach out for help, because there's other women out there that do not mind giving you a hand.
Absolutely, yeah. If anyone ever wants to reach out, you're in a spot, you need advice, absolutely. I know there's plenty of women, they don't get talked about enough, but there are women out there that will help.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Wow, this is an amazing story. With just $63, a backpack, and determination, she took that offer from her grandpa and went to start a new life. Imagine if Alyse didn't, what would happen? Well, I guess we'll never know. Alyse today is making a difference and creating a better future for her children and other children in this world. Ladies, life is hard, but I believe we can, just like Alyse did. Just get up and do it. Remember, you are not alone. Organizations just like Women are here to help you start and build. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I hope Alyse's story helps you overcome your obstacles and inspire you. Let me know your thoughts about this episode, and why do you think most women launch a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? To learn more about Alyse and her company, RedefinED Advisors LLC, visit www.redefiningeducation.org. Thank you for listening to Female Founders Podcast. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app or connect with us on womel.com so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time. Bye for now.